Eddie Glaude Jr., I hope I'm pronouncing that right, had a moment of honesty during a show on MSNBC, and the reaction from the other panelists really shows the problem with corporate media here. So they're discussing Israel gunning down Palestinians, and you'll see it's like a wave of awkwardness that comes over everybody when Eddie Glaude starts to talk about the real-world consequences of what's happening.
It's important that the foreign policy is generating uncertainty, deep uncertainty, right? That it's cascading chaos on the domestic.
But here's the thing. But the foreign policy is not what the Congress members of the House and Senate are campaigning on right now. They need to campaign on domestic issues where they have a stance. So while Donald Trump is doing this and may look for a deflection, it's not necessarily going to help the midterms.
All of that's important, and all of those babies are dead. All of those people are dead. They're dead. And we're talking about racehorses. I mean, the politics. I mean, there are a lot of folks who are dead today. For what? I'm sorry. This is me being a moralist, I suppose.
No, I understand. And the White House today, their response to that was it is Hamas's fault, and they're using them as tools for propaganda.
That's like saying the children in the Children's March of Birmingham, it was their fault that Bull Connor attacked them.
Man, Eddie, that will be one of your last times on MSNBC. Listen, that's what happens. You start talking about substance, and everybody's like, whoa, what's happening here? What are you doing? Are we allowed to do this? Are we allowed to bring up actual things that matter? Because I don't... And he says, we're talking about a horse race here. That's exactly what they were doing. They're looking at a situation where there was a slaughter of Palestinians. 0 Israelis hurt, 0 Israelis killed, and about 60 Palestinians killed, about 2,000 injured. Babies were killed. They were sniping people from 200 yards away, acting like they were an imminent threat because they had literal slingshots, and they burned tires. They're using lethal force when there was absolutely no direct threat of violence against them. Lethal force. And what do you have? The idiot bobbleheads on MSNBC are like, I think the Democrats need to campaign solely on domestic issues because this isn't going to help them in the midterms. You're fucking talking about that's like a group of sociopaths, man. You're having a conversation about the real world consequence of our actions and our top allies' actions. By the way, we fund the illegal occupation and the apartheid state Israel. We give them billions of dollars each year. We arm them nonstop. So they're committing an illegal occupation with our weapons. We fund them billions of dollars a year. They have universal health care. We don't have universal health care. There is a direct link between our foreign policy and our domestic policy. A direct link. How many times do we have to say Flint doesn't even have clean water, but we have billions of dollars to give Israel every year? Our infrastructure gets a grade of D+, but we have the ability to give billions of dollars to Israel every year. I mean, what a joke that is. So these things are linked, but the fact that she immediately pivoted back to, well, let's talk about this from an electoral standpoint. Is this going to help the Democrats or help the Republicans in the next election? So being a human being that actually understands that, people's lives matter, he was like, babies are dead, and you're talking about horse races. And then he apologized, like, I'm sorry, I guess I'm being a moralist. No, you're being a human being who actually looks at these things and lets them affect you. So it's like a Twilight Zone episode where Eddie Glaude Jr. is the last sane man on earth left. And look at how uncomfortable everybody else was when he brought up those facts. And then, of course, they've been programmed, all the other hosts have been programmed with Israeli propaganda talking points. So what do? Immediately deflect to Hamas. Sure, there's 0 Israelis hurt, 0 Israelis dead, and there's damn near 60 Palestinians dead and 2,000 injured, and they're gunning down peaceful protesters left and right, and the worst they're dealing with is fucking slingshots and burning tires. but the Hamas, the thing is what had happened was, no, that of all the stupid fucking talking points I've heard covering politics, that has to be the dumbest. You're to blame when I massacre your civilians. What? That's the exact argument they make. Well, what they do is the Hamas they want the innocent people to be killed. So, hold on now. So your argument is there's a devious plot by Hamas to get Israel to massacre their civilians. Well, then here's a question. Why do you always walk into the trap, Israel? If you're the people who are warning us that this trap exists, and oh my God, they want us to kill their civilians, okay, then stop killing their civilians. Problem solved. Because you're acting like it's this devious plot, and then you fall for the devious plot every time. How can you fall for it if you're the one that warning us that it exists? Because it's not really their fault. You have agency. You made the decision to fire those bullets. You made the decision to kill that many people. That's what happened. You own it. You own it. Imagine. People get angry when there's an argument made, and they should. Oh, that woman was sexually assaulted? How was she dressed? Yeah, that's a gross thing to say. You know what's even grosser than that? It's your fault that I massacred your civilians. What? Just don't shoot, and they wouldn't be dead now, would they? God damn it, man. That's how deep the propaganda goes. That's how deep it goes. We are funding and fueling a permanent apartheid state, an illegal occupation, and with billions of dollars, and giving them weapons. They commit all these atrocities. By the way, has anybody spoken about, hey, maybe we should stop giving them the weapons? What happened? I thought that this country cares so deeply about human rights and freedom and democracy and being the world police. Well, what happened to the human rights concern? Why don't you want to cut off the weapons to Israel? Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to sanction them? You guys were just talking about how, oh my God, we have to go bomb the Syrian government because they're killing innocent people. Ooh. Israel just killed innocent people. They just did right now, right in front of our face. They just gunned down journalists a few weeks ago, running away from the border. Do we have to go do regime change in Israel now? It turns out all your arguments about human rights and justice, total bullshit. Our foreign policy is not based on that by any stretch of the imagination. You keep spitting in the eye of the Palestinians and berating them like it's their fucking fault that, they're not free and don't have a Palestinian state. And this is just the most grotesque victim blaming imaginable. And when somebody goes on MSNBC and pops that fucking corporate bubble, which is filled to the brim with propaganda, everybody gets awkward, like, oh, you actually care about human beings and not wanting them to get fucking gunned down. Gross. What's wrong with you? Don't you know we're only supposed to talk about things that don't matter? That's exactly what I ran into when I went on Fox News. When they asked me a similar question, like, what's Trump's strategy in saying this particular thing? And I was like, I don't fucking know. What am I? The idiot whisperer? What am I, Nostradamus? I can just read this jack-off's mind? I don't know what's going on in his mind. So what I did is I just started talking about the substantive policy issues that were part of the conversation. One of them was NAFTA, another was immigration. And so they asked me these questions like, oh, is that his strategy? I'm like, I don't know how the fuck am I supposed to know his strategy? I don't know his strategy. So you talk about the substance. And when you talk about the substance, it breaks their brains. So go back and watch that clip if you haven't seen it. They don't know how to react. Like, this is veering off into some weird places. Yeah, because I'm talking about the actual issues that fucking matter. That's why it's veering off into weird places. You're not used to that. You're used to bullshit pontificating about what people's motivations and shit are. In other words, you're used to people making shit up. Well, let me tell you about how this will help the horse race and who this is. You don't fucking know what the fuck you're talking about. Innocent people are getting slaughtered, and all you're doing is strategizing. The fuck is wrong with you people? God damn it. And you wonder why corporate media is, looked at unfavorably by the American people, and there's this rise of new media. It's because, like me or dislike me, at least I'm telling you what I really think, and I'm covering these things because I care about it. I'm not some fucking paid drone to do propaganda talking points and to not touch serious issues like everybody on corporate media is.